My name is May, and let me say,
Yeah. My name is Ty Ward, and I am co-owner of Native Soul and Earthing.
and we're also life partners, so business partners and life partners. So,
Can you tell me a little bit about both of your shops, Earthing and Native Soul?
so Native Soul is started off actually as a brand. So it's our brand focused on sustainable clothing and jewelry at first, and so we were. And then we got into vintage, and now we curate vintage pieces at the store. And also, when we became a shop, an actual boutique, we are also curating pieces that are made from like local and global artisans. So, and we emphasize on like Black, Indigenous, people of color owned businesses, and so those are the businesses that we want to like collaborate with and partner up with, and it's just a way for us to be represented in the space. We're highly focused on vintage right now because I feel like vintage clothing is one of the most sustainable ways to like to go if you want to live more an eco-friendly lifestyle, because the clothing has already been made. So, but as a business, I feel like we've evolved throughout the time. So first it was mostly just our brand, and then now it's a collaboration of our brand and the partnership that we have within our community. Do you have anything to add?
You said a lot.
When was that like realization? I want to open these shops and I want them to be sustainable. I want them to be eco-friendly. Why was it so important for both of you to go that route?
Well, I think it was already part of our lifestyle.
Yes.
At the time, and I think in the beginning, I feel like we were definitely more on the what is that called, as far as sustainability and being eco-friendly. I feel like we were more radical at that time. So Ty got like an old like Mercedes. I don't know if it's
Yeah,
like
I had an old Mercedes diesel back in the day, back in I don't know, what was it, like the early 2000s, and I learned about a way you could convert the Mercedes and run on veggie oil. So basically we started doing that for 6 years, and then we got into getting an electric truck. We found out about Ford used to make electric trucks back in the 90s. This is before all the new electric craze. And there was basically, through the research, we discovered there was an infrastructure around Los Angeles at the time to have free charging. So no one was using them, but they were there, and we found out about the trucks. So through that, that journey of just finding better ways and more sustainable ways to live, and a lot of it was already out there. It just led us on, more research, more journeys. You know how it is. Once you learn one thing, you learn another. We got into doing something as far as health. Like we got into our healthy lifestyle at the time, and we started learning about being vegan, and then a raw vegan journey. So we were learning raw vegan recipes and vegan recipes for about like 9 years. We were doing that. So I feel like eventually all of the lifestyles kind of support each other, and you start finding out there's all these other non-mainstream ways that are more sustainable to live. And I think through that we just started picking up little things along the way. You start learning about in your home things that are toxic and things that are wasteful in your home. So I think all those things kind of slowly but surely like led us to do what we wanted to do. Like with Native Soul, we really had this passion for better ways to do things, more sustainable ways to do things.
Yeah, so I think our lifestyle was one of the inspiration, and I've always done clothing. Like that was always something that I was around with my family, and so so when I was in school, like I kind of focused my research more on sustainable clothing and like fair trade, more social responsibility aspect of the industry. And back then there wasn't like a lot of options. It was really new. So even through my program in school, like I was the only one that was doing it. And then and there was just like new wave. It was like that new wave of industry that was kind of like the fashion industry, I think in like 2002, 2003, that was slowly converting into like a better ways to like, I guess, mass produce like a sustainable, or like mass produce like clothing, because there's, you know, like the spurts here and there, but I think around that time I feel like that's kind of when it started. But we honestly had no interest in doing mass production for Native Soul. We were more focused on slow fashion and really like focused on things being made locally and here. And so we wanted to really just highlight the stuff that we make and be more a part of like the makers market of local artists like creating things, but also with the emphasis of sustainability on our end. And like I said, like it evolved. Like we went from more radical part of it. It's like even within our store, we only chose a certain like artists that we had that were really in line with what we do. But as we kind of evolved and became a little bit more open, like there's certain parts in our store that's not totally sustainable, you know. And there's some things that I make too right now that is considered more like on the slow fashion side with jewelry, since I use like both new and recyclable materials. And sometimes I use like some of the new materials, but the fact that I'm only making them limited runs of certain designs, and they're not like, I'm not like shipping my designs to like a factory like somewhere else and they're gonna make a bunch of that same thing, you know. So our stuff is very like just like really limited runs. So that's more like the slow fashion aspect of Native Soul. One of the key things that we really wanted to do in our store was create like a community and a space for us to like gather and connect with like healers and like other makers. And so we were doing a lot of workshops and even like sound healing and just like full moon gatherings, like different spiritual part of our lifestyle was also included in our store. So we wanted to like so we created like these events and we were able to partner up with our the community members. And so I think that's one of the main things that we do.
You also mentioned right now that you hand make your earrings, the jewelry, the things that you have at Native Soul. How much labor do you put into that?
I definitely work on jewelry pretty much every day, and I do create clothes. So that's actually one of the main things. I slowed down on making clothing just because it's just a lot more labor, and it's just me, and I can't really like, you know, you have to kind of deal with sizes and like, you know, just different. And I was mostly I'm working with, as far as clothing, I do a lot of reconstructing. And then I do make one of a kind like clothing from scratch, from fabric to like finish.
So you have two different shops here across from one another. You just opened one in Sacramento. You do pop-ups across Los Angeles, and you have your Etsy shop. How do you handle everything?
I feel like the way we handle everything and juggle all these different elements, it's kind of organic the way it happens. So I feel like we're kind of going motorcycle, but I feel like we've been naturally growing slowly. So I feel like the way that it evolved allowed us to handle it better, because we started doing pop-ups first, and we had done that since like 2005. So even when we first opened Native Soul, the first shop, which was in downtown Artist District in Long Beach,
and when was that?
We opened that in 2011, I think, or 10.
Yeah, 2011.
2011. Yeah. We opened it, but we still consistently did pop-ups, and it was like the pop-ups were carrying the first shop until it got enough momentum to carry itself. So I feel like that, because we kept with our roots and kept doing what we had started doing and kind of what got us there, and we still are, I feel like that's a big part of it. like May touched on earlier, the people and the relationships that we've been able to make through vending and pop-ups have really been the most important part, I think. Like the community, the support we've gotten from then till now with the community has been like, priceless. It's been amazing, like the connections. And I think that really allowed us to expand and not feel so overwhelmed. I mean, it's still a lot going on, but I really feel like that's been able to hold us, and we have to just, kind of go at our flow, not worry about what everybody else is doing or everybody else is saying you shouldn't grow this fast or you could grow this fast or you could do this. I think we've been kind of more honoring our flow, and I think that's what allowed us to and allows us to do it all.
How did the pandemic affect your business, if it did?
Honestly, I feel like really grateful because I feel because like back to the pop-ups, because of the events that we were doing. Obviously the pop-ups weren't happening, but because of the relationship that we had built in different communities, from like LA to San Francisco, Oakland, like the Bay Area to Sacramento, we've been doing a lot of those events, and really connected to all those communities, and also like communities, and we have like communities in New York that we've collaborated with. And I think because of that, like we were still able to get like the support, that was needed, especially during the pandemic and not having our shops open. And we were able to pivot because I think for me, like that's where I was grateful to have like the skills to sew, because there were some things that were what was more needed at the time during the pandemic that people were asking for, and I was able to sew those. And so that like helped, and I think like just being connected to our community really like kept us going.
Let's take a turn into your personal lives. Nothing scary, but you have 5 children. They're here at the store sometimes. How is it having a family, kind of like a small commune of your 5 kids?
For me as a mom, definitely it's definitely difficult to run a business and have our families. So thankful that Ty and I are doing it together. Like this is both of our projects, and so we're able to kind of go back and forth and like kind of like tag team. And so, but as a mom, I was really involved with breastfeeding, and just really like the kids were like, we were baby wearing them. I felt like having the shop was actually a blessing, because I was able to like bring them to work with me and was able to work. People were open to that. And prior to that, actually, I had a job where I was able to bring my babies to work. So I feel like that kind of like made me realize like, wow, like this is amazing that this owner is like allowing me to do that, and I would want something like that, if I open a space. When we first opened was actually, we were pregnant. I was pregnant, and then we had I think right before the opening, I had the baby in July. There was always a baby in the shop. If you've shopped with us since 2011, there's like always a baby or a toddler in the shop, and like I'm always carrying somebody. So I feel like having that store gave that flexibility, because it's like your store, you're gonna do what you want. It's your space where you could bring your family, and obviously there's a lot of challenges to that, where sometimes I have to like close the store for like 5 minutes to nurse, or like even just like change a diaper or something. And so but overall I feel like that was allowed Ty and I to really like spend time with our kids, because they were allowed to come to work with us, and we didn't have to like go take them to daycare and all that. So you have any perspective?
In my perspective, for having our children with us and our family together, it's been a really big blessing. I know that the things that we are being able to do with our lifestyle, having our own business has been huge. We've been able to stay together and be close together. When we're working, we don't necessarily have to drop the kids off. They can come with us a lot of times. So as we would travel and do pop-ups, a lot of the events that we would do, it almost kind of got us to see other events that we might not have done because they're family friendly. And I feel like that has been great because the experience that the kids have had growing up, going to all these different events,
different festivals.
Yeah, festivals, music, all the
Yeah.
culture that they've been exposed to at their age. I feel like that's means a lot to me, to us, because they're getting to see, parts of the world already through just doing it, as opposed to just reading in books. And just seeing that, and feeling that community, and that part is huge. And then I feel like the other part, just to be able to set your own hours, and like we need to spend time with the kids, we can close the doors or take a day off, or we can maneuver. There's flexibility. It's not so rigid.
There is mention of workshops. Do you host workshops, or can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes, yeah, we've Native Soul, when we first started our brick and mortar, we already had the intention of holding space for community. And we wanted to make sure that when we open up our doors, it was a space where different Black, brown, indigenous people could feel welcome and comfortable. And we wanted to really offer, a lot of healing workshops that spoke to people that often aren't highlighted, or they're often minorities in these spaces that we all need. We all need community, we all need connection, we all need to feel welcome, be around like-minded people. So one of the things that we always wanted to do is have a space that people knew in the community that they can come, and when we started doing events, we wanted them to kind of trust that we're going to bring like a certain level of an event or a person, or so that's artist, yeah. An artist. Yeah, that's always been like one of the things from the very beginning that we set out to do.
Yeah, I think it was really important for us to host workshops that our communities were represented. So the people that were actually teaching and like doing the events were like Black and brown folks that usually don't have a space in these like conscious healing community space, even though a lot of that information that these spaces have gotten is from like indigenous communities and other like Black and brown communities, but like often like those are the teachers that are represented in these spaces. And so we really wanted to make sure like that when we host events, it's really diverse, and it's coming from the communities that are sharing this the knowledge. And so that's really important for us, because we've seen it. We've been to events and gatherings and festivals where we're really underrepresented, even though they're sharing a lot of the things that are from our culture.
How long have both of you been together?
It's been since 2003. Yeah, 2003. Yeah, but originally I think we connected as friends, and then from there I think we just had like connected through our lifestyle a little bit more. Yeah.
How did you meet?
I used to work at a Peruvian restaurant in called Inca Grill, and it's in Long Beach, but it's technically like borderline Hawaiian Gardens. But I think he used to actually go there all the time. He was like a regular customer, and so I was like a new person, and we met. Like his friend was visiting from Amsterdam, and I think we met through that, and we were just friends at first, because I wasn't even living in the area at the time, but I used to go there a lot, and I came back to show my friend around, and I was saying, hey, let me take you to one of my favorite restaurants, and she happened to be working that day. And then instantly we kind of just had this connection, but it was all three of us like just totally vibing. And I remember telling my friend, I said, hey, for some reason I feel like I need to stay in touch with her. And I was attracted to her already, like her personality and just who she was, but it was just one of those things, like it was more than that. I just felt like it was bigger than that. I was like, you know what? So
Yeah, and over the years we kind of,
Well, it's like we were friends for 2 years.
Yeah, it took
Probably
2 years of kind of, dating, and we knew.
Yeah, maybe a year.
Yeah,
but
a year of dating.
Yeah,
Who asked who?
probably he did.
There's
Yeah.
always
Of course, there's some
different
hints of like,
Yeah.
okay, you gotta get it. You better make a
Pressure.
decision right now.
It's been 2 years. What are we?
Yeah.
Pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, I think it was instant. I knew I was attracted to her. So you can cut that.
No, we're leaving it. So what's next? Do you have any plans for expanding, or just in your personal lives as well? Anything that you would like to share?
We did expand. We did open another store in Sacramento, which is my hometown, and we're excited about that. I mean, that's kind of still in the developmental. I mean, it's open, but I feel like there's a lot more room for it to grow and for it to kind of like develop where we want it to be. So we're excited about that. I mean, there's like, we always have, between us, we have so many ideas. Like, we're kind of like an idea people. Like, I feel like people could hire us for like all the ideas. We have so many ideas that we've seen like it manifested. You know what I mean? So like, I feel like the first business that we were gonna open together was actually a raw vegan restaurant, but that didn't. I don't know. I think I got too scared to do it. But that was like the first business that we were gonna do, and it was a little ahead of its time, I must say.
So you always knew.
Yeah.
This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna do a business. We're not sure what.
Yeah.
But we're gonna work together.
Well, we knew for sure it was the raw vegan restaurant because we were so close. It was just really like, I made the decision. Like, we already pretty much got it, and I made the decision like the day to like back out of it, and so we didn't do that. But we still wanted to like work on something. We had a vision for something like still in that world of our lifestyle, and so we opened Native Soul because I felt like retail is a little bit more easier than like doing a restaurant. I have a restaurant like I've always worked at restaurants, so I feel like I know how to run a restaurant, but there's just like other things. It's more involved, but I feel like if we do have a next venture, I think we want to have some kind of like vegetarian, vegan restaurant, maybe, if it ever goes that way, but we'll see.
I have to say, I feel like her food is on that. It's already on that level. So I felt very spoiled for years. I feel like I've been eating at a restaurant, like at a raw vegan restaurant. So, but not now, but before when she was really doing the raw vegan.
Yeah, so that was like the other like part of our, like, we actually bridged Native Soul and our raw vegan lifestyle at one point. So I was like doing a pop-up with like raw vegan Filipino food, which nobody was doing at the time, not even like vegan Filipino food at that time. So, and it was like a raw vegan thing, and we did like different events and like little festivals that was catered to that community. And like I said, we're always the only brown people there. And so it was cool to represent like a little bit of my culture in it, and especially in a vegan, like raw vegan in that world. And so that was like part of a little side hustle, or at least my little side hustle. I did catering for food and taught like raw vegan workshops, and did pop-ups too. So, and I would bring my jewelry, it will be right next to my food little pop-up. And so we kind of bridged those two for a minute. And so I feel like that's still kind of part, like it's still there.
Yeah, and I think the other part that we're not, my other thing that I was doing before this was doing events. So I used to do events from the really since the late 80s. I was involved in this DJ collaborative crew, and we used to do we used to rent out spaces and do big parties, mostly hip hop, R&B, hip hop, reggae stuff. And through the years, I just kept that going. And I still do events, but not as frequently. So I feel like that's the other piece of it, that community piece, tying that, just always wanting to, allow space for community to get together and uplift them in a positive way. That's the piece another piece to Native Soul.
Yeah, right. And it's there because he's like, we were doing like, even right now he's part of, we're all part of the the fourth Fridays that we do here, which is like a big art walk, and we did no parking on the dance floor, which Ty mostly curated like a lot of the artists that we have had, and so through that connection, I feel like we were able to do like kind of have like that music part in our space. So we'll have like in our backspace, besides doing like sound bath and sound healing and all that stuff, we've had like artists actually play and perform in an intimate space, and they, you know, like these are like artists that sometimes like perform at bigger events, and so they'll, you know, come here and like do an intimate like little show for us.
Yeah, we have a series called Secret Gardens that we're doing, and it's just more of a, you know, a small number of people. You know, there's limited space, so it's a real intimate event where we feature an artist, music artist, and we might have a featured chef to do food. So it's, you know, always changing. But that's one of the side things that we do, kind of like what you're saying. And then we also will have special like dance party, like breakouts that will have a, you know, a featured DJ, and we'll have maybe a few vendors also. And but mostly the whole thing is just to come together and just have a good time, because sometimes we just need that, you know, nothing else but let's just dance, especially now.
Yeah.
Because there's not as many venues that were open, and you know, things are different. So that's one of the things that we do too.
And we definitely took a break from hosting workshops, you know, just being mindful. Like during the pandemic, obviously we took a break from that, and so now it's actually like we're kind of coming out of the bringing all that back, and so we're excited to. I mean, we've kind of like started like here and there, but now I feel like it's going to be consistent again to kind of hopefully where we were at like before, like I guess in 2020, hopefully, like because we were doing something every week, so hopefully we'll kind of get back to that part.
And if people want to come and join, do you post them on Instagram? How would they know?
Yeah, so mostly Instagram and Facebook. Facebook only, I only come on there when I have events, and so like mostly on Instagram, and we promote it at the stores and the pop-ups, and we usually have like a flyer or something.
Yeah, definitely. So if you're interested in coming to one of our events, you can check out our Instagram pages, and we'll post things that will come up the next, couple weeks or the next month. So yeah, definitely stay posted.
Yeah.
Yep.
So at Native Soul on Instagram.